Green Lantern, Hal Jordan's Green Lanterns. Yeah. Green Lanterns was a book. It is what it is. Love-hate relationship. I like the Green Lanterns a lot. Like, a lot. I really love them. I've read nearly 60 years worth of Green Lantern. It's not an exaggeration. I really did. When I got into them, I got way into them. And I went back and I read like the showcases and I was just moving through and I was reading thing after thing after thing after thing. And then I got really into like Jeff Johns' run on the Green Lanterns, and that's what solidified it for me. Like the Light War and the things like that, and Blackest Night. Oh! I still find that to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, DC event that I have ever had the pleasure of reading. Not that I haven't liked a lot of other things, but man, Blackest Night lives rent-free in my mind, man. It's up here all the time. It never goes away. Randomly, sometimes I will think about something from Blackest Night. I'll just do it. I'll just be at work, and I'll be like, I remember when the Flashes were literally working with each other to send communications. So, like, I remember this scene in Blackest Night where there's two characters talking, and I believe it's in the Teen Titans. It's in the Titans comic, not the Titans comic. There's a moment where she's in the middle of talking, and she's like, the first thing we need to do is figure out if this is happening all around the world. And then the Flash that they have on their team goes, it is. It's happening everywhere. And she goes, how do you know that? And he's like, because I just talked to Barry. And she goes something like, when? And he says, like, in between if and it's. But really, because of the way they move and they think and they act, like, that makes perfect sense. He was able to be like, okay, she just said this word. He runs halfway across the world, meets Barry. Hey, man, what's going on? And then runs all the way and gets there before she gets the next word. So he didn't even miss what she was saying and had a complete conversation in between the two words. I love that. I love it. And so to say that I like the Green Lanterns, okay, I like them a lot. Green Lanterns, that book, introduced two characters that I like. I like Simon Baz. I like Jessica Cruz. I like them both. I think they're solid Lantern ideas. Jessica being one of the best Lantern concepts that has ever existed, because the Green Lanterns also, there's a misunderstanding. Green Lanterns are not people without fear. That's a misunderstanding. Green Lanterns have the will to move past great fear. They overcome great fear. Fear that would cripple other men. That would bring a man to his knees. They have this drive to move past it. She is the kind of person, with the disorders that she has, that she lives in fear every waking moment of her life. And it is a testament to her own courage that she even gets up in the morning to move forward with the life that she is currently living. She suffered a trauma so severe that most people would never recover from it. And it wasn't like Dad died because he was a test pilot and we always kind of knew there was a chance that he was going to die. I love you, Hal, but come on. Your dad was basically on 50% flip of the coin every day he went to work. Jessica wasn't that. So, they give me two of the greatest Lanterns I've seen in a long time. Then they give me a Lantern book. And then book after book after book, they screw up the Green Lantern's powers. Like, they do things in that book that just time and time and time again make me go, what? That's not how that works. I've read 60 years. That's not how that works. And not to be a super fan, because that's what that is. That's me being a kind of a D-bag super fan. But when you do that, it makes me go, this book is really ticking me off. And I even did a couple videos on here years back talking about Green Lantern problems from the Green Lanterns books. Like where they're fighting with Mira. There are 2 Green Lanterns. I realize they're over the ocean. They're fighting Mara. Mara comes out. They start fighting. And she disables 2 Green Lanterns. There's 2 things here that irritated me. One, by using water kinesis, she just slipped the ring off the finger. Oh man. And people go, well, you got to understand water kinesis. Basically what she did was she snuck the water in and kind of created a film. So like the ring was no longer connected and then she could like take it off. No. There's a reason I'm saying no. One, the Green Lantern's overshield works without their thought process. That green layer of shielding that is over them, that's not something they think about. It's something that just happens by instinct. And part of the reason that that's there is because the lanterns operate in space. And if it was so easy to slip the ring off, then they could just lose it by sweating real hard. Or if they were just fighting somebody could just be like, here, just give me that. But it doesn't work that way. That overshield puts a layer outside of them that you can't get through like that. That water would have hit that shield and the shield would have protected the ring. And if the ring detects something like that going down, it has safety things that try to kick in and stop something like that from happening. So time and time again, I saw problems like this. And on the same panel, when they lost their ring, they kept their costume on. That costume, aside from the original books years back, that costume is not something that hangs in their closet. It's something that is created by the ring, specifically from the subconscious thought patterns of different lanterns. The reason Hal wears a mask is because superheroes were very much a thing at the time, and because he had a secret identity. Subconsciously, when the ring forms the suit, because the suit is light, it's a light construct, it's a thing that comes out of the ring that's formed by the power of the ring, by your mind subconsciously that you wear the thing. You wear light, hard light, but you wear light. That's the reason the black part of the suit in some comics, they won't do like where he holds the ring up and it gets real bright and that black part of the suit, light won't reflect in there because there's no light. That's why the suit looks the way it does sometimes. But they would just have the suits. So like, or like they'd be on a planet, and this has happened to Hal Jordan many times, where his ring will run out of power, and it'll go down to 0%, and his suit will go away, and he's wearing his jacket and everything, because that's what he wears, because that's not a thing. But in the Green Lanterns book, I guess they just have that suit hanging up in a closet somewhere. There were so many little things that drove me crazy about it. That this book, like, this was one of those hardcore nerd moments for me that I just, like, for some reason, like, you have those weird moments where, like, you know it's not a big deal, but you, like, can't let it pass. And I think one of the things that was driving me crazy is at the exact same time they were running this book, the Green Lanterns book, they were running another book called Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. And I think another Green Lantern book on top of it. So there were 3 Green Lantern books. And, like, the writers could not have been discussing with each other or understanding the abilities of the Green Lantern rings in correlation with one another, because, like, their book was just, like, very weird how they handled their powers and how things would happen that simply cannot happen or do not happen in any other book. And yet I read that whole thing. I liked the book, but, like, there were things about it that drove me absolutely crazy. And I'm going to have something to say about you when we get you out of here. So let's open him. Okay, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. I don't have a Hal Jordan for the shelf yet. So when I saw that there was a chance to get a Hal Jordan for the shelf, I was like, oh yeah, I better jump on that. I don't have one. So I got one. This is him. I don't hate the idea of Green Lanterns having like armor plates or whatever. That doesn't bother me. But let's just go ahead and do this. That's Hal Jordan Green Lantern. That's fine. That's about right. I don't think I have any problem necessarily with the head sculpt. I kind of like that the hair is kind of in motion. Kind of, but it will affect things like if you want him just to kind of stand there or whatever. His body overall doesn't seem like it's that bad. He's not too big. He's not too small. He looks about right for a Hal Jordan type of figure. That's fine. This is a McFarlane thing. He likes to do this, and I don't know why. Like when he released the Robin figure, which was the same Robin that was supposed to be around the Nightfall era, the Tim Drake. He gave Tim Drake like armor. Like they were like armor. Tim Drake didn't wear armor. This guy right here, this is not the suit he wore in Green Lanterns. You were not armored. This thing that you got going on here, what like there's like these things like Piccolo skin or whatever, like that wasn't a thing. These were not armored boots. These were not like padded glove things. This was not armor plated. You know what you look like? You look like you may be from like New 52. And that wouldn't have been bad, because New 52 is, I kind of like the design of Hal, where he has like armor plates and everything like that. It kind of makes sense if he's thinking militaristically, if he's from the Air Force and he's kind of thinking that way, and the thing goes on and he thinks, I need protection, because of course you don't just go out into a firefight with your tight shirt, your tight Batman shirt. So maybe his ring, because I already explained how that works, his ring would have done this. Okay. But like, he didn't look like that in the Green Lantern's book. So this is another one of those cases where, I mean, you can see it right here. Look here. You see all these? You see all this stuff here? And you see this? Do you see any of that? Do you see, or do you just see like a skin tight? Do you see that this guy is not this guy? Minor thing. I'm going to be honest with you. This doesn't bother me. It's just something that I like to point out, because otherwise, it's not a terrible Green Lantern figure. And also, if you're noticing, because of the stage lights, this is not like a hard matte finish or whatever, so it's kind of got like a reflective, like this doesn't reflect the light like this does. That's kind of cool, because as I hold him over here, you'll notice that while the light kind of hits the black, it doesn't have the same effect as when it hits that green. That's actually kind of cool. That will look cool in photography because the light will reflect off of the green and it will kind of create some of those effects that I've been talking about. That's not a terrible thing. This diaper thing, come on, pop out. His leg is over the diaper thing. There, I fixed it. That's not terrible. I've seen worse. He has this Green Lantern punching glove, which is boxing glove, which is it's fine. That's a fine effect for what it is. He just puts it over his hand, gets a big old giant boxing glove. Wait a second, is that? No way. Does it actually go like on? I seen like a, that looks like there's a peg inside of there. And I'm curious if that actually goes all the way down and actually connects on there like a, that's not a bad idea. Because it guarantees that you don't have to have this, like it just kind of takes the place of the hand. That's not a terrible idea. I don't hate that. That kind of worked for me. I thought that was kind of cool, actually. And then the other thing he has, which he doesn't need, but I mean, it's dumb fun anyway, so I kind of like it. He has this green construct jetpack, and the way that I can explain that, by the way, is the ring works differently by the way that each person's brain works. If you're flying and your mind is processing the idea you need to go faster, maybe subconsciously, because of the way that you view the world, you can't just make the light around you stronger and go faster. Like, they can fly. I mean, these guys, I think people misunderstand just how fast Green Lanterns can go. If you've ever been paying attention to some of the comics and you notice that, like, Barry is running, Green Lantern will sometimes fly alongside him. And I know that Barry's not going as fast as he could, but everybody else in the comic is back there. Everybody. Lantern is usually the one that can somewhat keep up with Barry, and that says a lot, because Barry is, fast. That's a cool thing about Green Lanterns. And you have to consider that, especially once they get into deep space and they really turn it on and they start, because they cross galaxies with how fast they're going. And there's a whole thing to the way the ring actually does that and whatnot. It's not just 100% speed. It's kind of like a wormhole type effect. But it is the fact that they are flying through space, galaxy to galaxy, sector to sector. I mean, that's not slow. Lanterns be fast, okay? But sometimes, you ever notice that, even though they can do that, weirdly enough, they'll be Hal will be flying a jet, like a green construct jet, and you're like, why does he need that? Maybe his brain at the time is processing he needs to go faster than what he normally goes. And his brain tells him, well, if I had extra propulsion, if I had a jet, if I had a thing that went fast, and then the ring will do that. The ring will construct a thing, and it's almost like a placebo effect. He doesn't need that jetpack. But the perception of that helps his mind kind of link in with the ring and go faster, push it harder. It does take more energy off the ring, so you'd be better just teaching yourself to understand, like Neo, there is no spoon. You don't need that, because it will drain the ring a little bit faster, but if it helps you do it, there it is. That's cool. I'm going to call McFarlane out real quick. McFarlane, what are you doing? This guy came out at the same time as that Action Comics Superman re-release. This guy came out a little bit before the Christopher Reeve Superman. You gave him a jetpack. He flies, McFarlane. Flight stand. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You've been doing it with random figures that somewhat make sense. But other figures, I'm just going to say it, if you fly, then you should come with a flight stand. If your gimmick is that you are always in the air, always jumping, always moving, then you need a flight stand. It does not make sense to keep giving us these stupid discs. But I now have a Hal Jordan. I am going to go out of my way, I think, to buy a classic suit Hal Jordan. But I don't hate this. This will go on the shelf, and I will enjoy it for what it's worth. I'm not mad at it at all. But I did want to call it out and kind of, look, you know how my show is. My show very much is like a more of like a, it's not really reviews. It's kind of like a toy podcast where every time I get a toy, I have a reason to talk about the why and the interests and the fandom of my interests in general. It was kind of an excuse to rant about some comic stuff more than anything else. And I don't hate that figure for what it's worth. I can't wait to put him on my shelf along with everybody else. I think it'll look fine.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.